Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Lynn and today I'm going to make Kendra's card challenge number 13. This is going to be sketch 14 and I am starting off with a bit of, well, it's a larger piece of scrap paper, but white. And what I'm going to do is stamp out my own background in lieu of using pattern paper or a solid color cardstock. So the stamp set I'm using today is a really lovely one from Artful Angel. This is called Sending Thoughts, and it's really great because it's full of very heartfelt sentiments for sympathy cards, condolences, and these cards can be so hard to make sometimes, and it can be really hard to find the right words also. But I found that a lot of the sentiments, phrases in this stamp set are really, really lovely. And so what I've done is chosen a few. I think I picked out 4 of the 8 smaller fonts, and then there's one larger, more focal sentiment, which I'll use later on my card. But the 4 that I picked out are 2 of them are one-liners, and the other 2 are 2 lines. And the reason why I picked the when I was looking at the 2-line sentiments, I was looking for ones that were kind of blocky so that they were basically a rectangle as opposed to more of a trapezoid, and that way it would be easier for me to kind of stamp out this pattern and fill everything in, because these sentiments are all the same font and they're all the same font size and font weight, and so I really wanted to try to get a very uniform look, but I am rotating and altering the angle on these, and so I do have to try to kind of do that parquet flooring design of just trying to stair step these and interlock them. And I figured it would be easier if the 2-line sentiments were more blocky, that they actually kind of fill out a rectangle. And so that was one of the considerations. And of course, I wanted to make sure I liked the sentiment that I was stamping out as well. So as I stamp out this background, and this piece is going to be larger than what I actually need, I figure while I'm at it, may as well stamp out the whole thing, and if I have a bit left over, because I wasn't actually 100% sure how I wanted to use it, so I just wanted a piece large enough for my card today. So as I continue doing this, I want to mention that my video today is part of a hop. This is our monthly Design Teen hop with Kendra's Card Challenge. So what you'll find in the playlist, if you expand that description box, there will be a link to the playlist. You'll find videos from our team, and we're going to be sharing different sketches, working with all sorts of different products. So this is a fun time for us to just get together and maybe, share some of our favorites. This sketch in particular, I haven't yet created in this quarter's challenge, so it was a fun one to work with because there's a nice large background space where a lot of this is this pattern that I'm stamping out is going to be visible. So that was one of the considerations that I thought about as I was looking through the sketches for which one I wanted to use today. And that personally is how I use these sketches in practice. So I'll have an idea, I'll have maybe a focal image that I want to use, and then I'll look at the sketches to find the one that I think might work best with whatever it is I've chosen to work with for that card. So when I'm not strictly just playing along with the challenge, because of course, if you want to enter to be in for a chance to win some of the fabulous prizes that have been donated to us by our sponsors, you'll want to make a full set of 15 cards. And they don't necessarily all have to be, from the same pattern papers even. The cutting guide will show you how to cut down 6 sheets of 6x6 pattern paper and create the 15 card sketch layouts. But if you wanted, you could use scraps and you could put together a set of 15 cards that didn't all come from 6 full sheets of pattern paper. So however you want to approach this challenge, that's totally up to you. But the way that I like to use these PDF files is as a resource, because they are so valuable even beyond the 3-month period where you can enter to win prizes, because it's just a lot of ideas, a lot of really fantastic ideas. And so when I have an idea in mind for what I want to use, so in this case, really wanted to highlight this stamp set, and I picked the larger sentiment, "So sorry for your loss." That has a lot of fun kind of configuration of the various words and playing with different font sizes. And so that one I chose to be my focal sentiments. I chose to stamp out the background, and this sketch I felt worked really well to highlight both of those things, to where the main sentiment could be the star of the card. I thought that the circle in the center would be a great place for that, but as well, because there's so much of that white space. So where you see white space on the sketch, that's where you can bring in whatever you'd like. So you can bring in more pattern paper, you can bring in solid color cardstock, an embossed panel, an inky background, anything that you'd like. And where you see the colored diagonal strips, that's what I am laying down here. And in the sketch, it actually shows 2 different pattern papers, one from paper D and one from paper B. But I have these leftovers from a previous card that I just made, and I kind of like the look of them sort of being just using this up. And the strips are so varied within, that one strip, because it's very dark on the one end and very light on the other end. So I figured that's kind of gonna give me a lot of variation on these. It won't necessarily look like it's 2 different pattern papers, but I'm totally okay with that. And you should be too when you're playing along with the challenge, and especially because some of these sketches are really good for scrap busters. This one in particular, you just need a few thin strips, and then you're good to go. So it's a really great way to use up your scraps. The challenge itself, if you're following along with the cutting guide, will leave you with no scraps, and so that's always really nice. But as well, on the flip side, these sketches are great as scrap busters if you already happen to have a bunch of scraps. So one of the things though with this that I would suggest is, if you are doing what I'm doing, where I wanted to line these diagonal strips up with the stamped background panel that I created, I would definitely recommend, if you're going to use like just these long scraps that you might have, glue them onto your panel first, and then you can trim it off right at the edge using your card panel as a guide, as opposed to what I did, because I glued it down onto my card first, and then it made it a little bit hard to cut off the angles. I figured it out by just using another bit of scrap paper, but I think it would have been easier if I had glued those diagonal strips down first, and then just use the edge of the panel to trim off those pattern paper strips. But I got there in the end, so so there's always multiple different ways to achieve the same look and effect. And here's a final close-up look of my card today. It's a great way to just keep a card very simple. I feel like sometimes with sympathy cards, they can be a little bit tough to make. The only thing looking at this afterwards when I was about to take photos is I did pull in some Love from Lizzie's pinstripe stickers on those diagonals. So I did add that afterwards. So if you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, then you'll see the final photo. But I hope that you enjoyed this card, and please do hop along and check out everybody else's video. The link to that playlist again is in the description box below. Thanks so much for joining me, and until next time, happy crafting and have a fabulous day. Bye!